Welcome everyone today. I'm so excited. We have another episode here of the True Safety Podcast, but today we have the one and only Carlos Camacho, who is an incredible safety professional, but how I just would describe you in one sentence, Carlos, would be a professional networker and connector and communicator. I think that you are gifted in the art of communication, and safety professionals, leaders listening in today, whoever's listening today, if you don't think that you're in the business of communication, I don't care what your title is, what industry, what business you're in, it is our jobs to become professional communicators. And this is something that I don't know, Carlos, if this is natural, if you're just a freaking natural at this, or if you have to work on it. But I want to dive in. First of all, thank you so much for being here. And how has your morning been so far?
Busy, working, but
Yes,
it's a beautiful fall day. So
absolutely. Yeah, it has been a beautiful day so far. My gosh. Well, Carlos, I am something that everyone has always described you as. It's not just me. People have described you as being gifted with communication. And can you first talk about how in your safety career, how has communication played a big part in what you do in the classroom and in the field?
So for me, I think getting the buy-in from our target audience, right? From our employees or clients, co-workers, things like
Yeah.
that. Especially in the oil and gas and construction industries, anything blue collar. I feel like most people can see right through you,
Yeah.
and they can see if you're being genuine or not.
Yes.
And that really helps to get your message across and to get people to feel that you actually care about them when you're a good communicator, and you can reach them on that personal level.
Well, I love that. And where that takes me is I'm remembering just starting in the safety industry. And one of the episodes I was filming with Seth was talking about, to be completely transparent, starting in the safety industry was really nerve-wracking for me. And I told Seth, I was just sharing that I used to get so nervous. Like, if I'm being honest, before a safety meeting, before a big safety training, and I have the whole company and it's just me, I would get like physically sick sometimes in the mornings getting ready to speak in front of 100 people, because
Right.
I told Seth I'd have a boss one time that said, "Hey, Apolonia, just as a reminder, the safety meeting is costing me $50,000 to $100,000 to run this safety meeting. So like, no pressure, do a great job." So I was really nervous. Can you talk about your journey in starting in the safety industry, and how you're talking about how buy-in is important? So our listeners agree, they get it. Let's say that they're stuck. Okay, Carlos, I'm starting in the safety industry. I'm trying to be more effective, and I'm trying to have a better safety meeting. What's some advice you would give me or give the listeners?
Right. I think painting the picture and having your talking points laid out for sure, right? Having a pre-game plan of kind of the direction that it's going to go, but don't be afraid to let it become what it's going to be, or what it has the potential to be as far as your meeting goes, right? So like, you want to control it for time purposes usually,
Yeah.
but allow people to engage at their own level, right? At their own level of safety knowledge or experience. And I think that's where, when you empower folks to learn, or you empower them to feel like they're a part of something, then they take more away from that. So that would be something that I would suggest to allow to happen.
Yeah, so have an agenda, but don't make it so strict that you're married to this strict 5 minutes per topic and da 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 da. So you talk about being authentic and being able to relate to people on their level, what are some things that you've done that when you're starting a safety meeting and you're trying to get the guys and girls in the room feeling comfortable and confident in you, what are some strategies, some tips, some advice to break the ice in the beginning of a meeting
Right.
and set the
So,
tone?
right. For me, it goes back to, some basics of public speaking, or, stuff that you learn in high school, right? When you're writing a paper or something, you got to have that attention getter, right? Something that grabs their attention. So, whether it's like a shock and awe kind of a approach, or just having the right energy, right? A
Mhm.
lot of energy. Make sure you get good rest the night before, and be vocal, and be excited, and let that be worn on your sleeve, that
Mhm.
that you can give that energy off. A lot of times people, when they come into safety meetings, it's another safety meeting. It's either at the end of the day or in the beginning of the day. So you're
Yes.
either tired and not fully
Yes.
woken up yet, or you're
Yeah.
tired and ready to go home. Typically they're
Yes.
on Fridays or something. You're already checking out before you get there. And so taking that into consideration, and knowing that's what your subjects are feeling, try to have that energy, and have fun.
Oh my gosh, Carlos, that is such a great takeaway. Is not only are we combating just having a great safety meeting, but I think that's huge advice for the listeners. Put yourself in your students' shoes. That's a huge piece of
Absolutely.
advice, because you made such a great point. Your safety meeting is going to be super, for the most part, super early in the morning, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., whatever it is, or it's at the very end of somebody's day. And you have to be real with yourself. Nobody wants to be there. And you have to think to yourself, how can I be a light and bring some really fun, positive energy to have
Right.
an effective meeting? I love what you said there. So I want to kind of go off topic from training. I think you gave a lot of advice on how to have great training. What I heard you say is have passion, have energy, make sure to connect to your audience and try to put yourself as best as you can in their shoes so you can really connect with people on their level. But one thing I wanted to ask you about is how, going back to bringing your connection out into the field versus just training classes, is how have you gotten buy-in from people in the field, from doing your site visits, and that there's maybe people are afraid at first because you're on locate, you're the safety
Right.
professional, you're on site. We get that question a lot, is how
Sure.
do I get
Sure.
buy-in from the guys and girls in the field when they hate safety? They usually get nervous around me. So how have you been able to disarm people when you go out there?
Sure. So it's I'll preface it, what I'm going to say, by saying this. The industry that I came from and grew up in was general industry and production, animal protein facilities, things of that nature. A lot of employees, some different hazards that go on there than maybe out in the field, but there's hazards nonetheless, right?
Mhm.
And so when you think about that, when you're in that setting, one of the tools that I had as a supervisor, um, was, if you're not going to buy into the safety culture, or you're going to deviate from safety practices, I'll just pull you off the floor and write you up. You know what I mean? Kind of a thing, right? So you kind of rule with an iron fist, kind of a thing, my way
Mhm.
or the highway, right? So
Mhm.
being employed by an awesome consulting company, right, like that. So being employed by a great consulting company, and going out there, one of the first things I realized out in the field was, you don't have that authority to take somebody and write them up. So that leads us to your question of how do you then get somebody in the field to buy into what you're selling, if you take away that action from the safety professional. And for
Great
me,
point. Yeah. Mhm.
right, right. So for me, it goes back to what we initially were talking about is it's just being genuine
Mhm.
and being vocal and talking to the guys about that, or the gals, right?
Mhm.
So one of the first things I do when I'm either onboarding a new member or I'm out there on a site location, I break down that wall immediately and just let guys know, like, look, I am not here to be a safety cop. I'm on your team. I'm
Yeah.
here to help you be safe and to provide you with the tools necessary. So,
Mhm.
you know, I usually roll with some basic PPE in my truck,
Mhm.
uh things that, you know, the guys can appreciate too, you know, maybe some stickers for a hard hats, or just icebreakers, right?
Oh,
In
absolutely. Mhm.
hot weather, I'll have some really ice cold waters in my truck, maybe a couple Gatorades. You visit a job site and you offer somebody a cool drink and a sticker, and you're talking about, hey, I really do care about you. I don't want you to feel that you can't approach me. Here's my phone number. If you feel uncomfortable with the situation, if you have a question about a situation, or if you know you need help with something, don't hesitate to call me anytime. I make myself available. You
Mhm.
got to be available. You got to be a good listener and offer feedback. You don't have to know everything. Let people know, hey,
Yeah.
look, I don't know the answer to that. It's a really good question, but I know how to find that answer. And then follow up. One of the worst things you can do to a relationship, right,
My
is
gosh,
is
you're
not
right.
follow up. Even if it's just a simple question of, hey, uh, what kind of eye protection do I need for this task? And if I don't 100% know, and I got 100 things on my plate,
Yes.
make note to build that relationship, because at the end of the day, that's what it comes back to, right? Is we're building relationships.
Yeah.
Somebody once told me that we're making emotional deposits in the bank of trust with people, right? And it sounds maybe
Every
corny
day.
or cliche, but that's stuck with me. Every interaction that I have with somebody, I'm making an emotional deposit in you, and that's going to build that trusting relationship. Sooner or later, you're going to realize that I am there to help you and help you be successful, and that I really care about you. And if that's me being a good listener and knowing that Joe Blow likes the Broncos and has two kids at home, next time when I'm talking about a near miss or a better way to do something with Joe, I can then start that conversation by, hey, how the boys? How your two
Mhm.
kids? And then we kind of end it like, man, I don't want to make that call, Joe. I don't want to call your wife and tell those two kids that dad's in the hospital, or worse, you know? And when you
Mhm.
get on that personal level, it really plucks at those heartstrings. And I think that's how you can manage that without having to write somebody up or fire somebody or things like that, right? Without those
Going.
kind of controls.
Oh my gosh, Carlos, what I heard you say, that first of all that was tremendous. And I just want to preface that everyone listening, you're listening to somebody who is constantly getting raving reviews of just being an amazing human. Doesn't matter what company he's at, doesn't matter whatever he's doing. He's just a respected human in the community. And that, take note. And what I heard you really say is that safety professionals, it needs to be priority if it isn't already, that you need to focus on building relationships is really what
Yeah,
I heard you saying. And how that's done, some techniques that you shared were, number one, some strategies when you go out to the field and you're doing a site inspection or you're doing whatever it is, safety meeting interaction, is let people know your intention, is what I heard you say. You said, let
sure.
people know, hey, number one, first of all, bring some cool stuff if you can, but like, hey guys, I'm here for you. This is what I'm here to do. I'm not here to write anybody up. I'm just here to do a quick field inspection, or just let people know, like, I'm just here to do XYZ. Let people know
Right.
your intention, listen. And number two is, or number one is let people know your intention. Number two listen to the people that you're talking to, really, really listen to them. And then number 3, always the follow-up. Keep your promises. They want to know, all right, this Carlos guy came out here, he seems okay, but I had a couple questions, and let's see if he even cares enough about me to follow up with me next week like he said he would. So that brings us to the end. Guys, I appreciate your time, Carlos. I can't wait to do another quick round of questions with you. And you gave a lot of great insight. And to anyone listening, if you have questions, comments, feedback, drop them in the comment section below. We'll link up Carlos's direct contact information if you have any questions for him. But thank you again for listening. And Carlos, any last thoughts, anything on your mind, any advice you'd give safety professionals listening today, if they're trying to go to the next level?
Yeah. Final thoughts is just stick with it, right? Like it's been a little bit of a road for me to break out from production management into a 100% safety career. And those opportunities, when they come, you got to grab them and hold on to them. And it's not always going to be simple or easy, and it's very challenging, but I can't imagine a more rewarding career path or career choice, because we are directly impacting lives, potentially saving lives, but we are impacting people at a psyche level, and at a human level. So it's fantastic. And if it's something that you want to do, then shoot for the stars.
You know what I think? I think that leaves, that's like a perfect cliffhanger for episode 2, part 2 with you and I. And we could talk about the title, I can already see it, is starting your career as a safety professional. And we could talk about the challenges that you faced and how you overcome them. And I think that you'd be able to give a really good advice on people just starting their careers in safety, and all that comes with it. So thank you so much for your time today, Carlos. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.